Well, welcome to Paulette's Paper Play, and what I'm playing with today is from Prima, and it's called Among the Wildflowers. Now, there's the 6x6 papers, there are 26 sheets, and there's also vellum ephemera, which we don't see very often, so I was happy to grab that. And then we also have regular die cuts. And let me show you, actually, I'm going to show you this because this is my favorite. Okay, look at all of those vellum butterflies on this card that's going to lay flat, and then it's going to pop up just like that. That's just one of the things that you can do. So won't you please come play with us? Now, before I get into the other projects, let me just show you what's in these packages. So this is the 6x6 papers. As I said, 26 sheets. You're going to get 4 each of 6 designs. So there's one, and then they're double-sided, so you're going to get more things. There's the second one, and the third. You can see the back, and another one. Now, I have to tell you, I didn't use any of these landscapes, but I did use the other side of many of these. And isn't that gorgeous? And the back of it is the flowers. And then this one with the little bird. And the back is just kind of a modeled background. And that should have been 6. And then you get 2 cutout sheets that are different. So that's what you get there. In the vellum, there are 76 pieces. Now, I have to tell you, I used a ton of them. Well, actually, you can see I used 11 butterflies on here, but there are still 11 more inside. Now, this is the package that you get. Of course, vellum is thin. This is the package after I used 13 of them, and you still have a ton left, so that's nice. Now, the die cuts are in here. There are 96. How wonderful is that? And I used, let me see my note, I used 13. So here is my package after they've been used, and here is the package as it comes, practically the same. So there's just so much that you can do with them. Okay, so let's get started. Here is my first card. Now, this sheet, you probably remember because you just saw it, is this one. And that just called to me to do some cutting. And so what I did is I took this sheet and I put it on a self-healing cutting mat. And I used our retractable pen knife, and I cut just this butterfly wing. And when you get into areas that are kind of wiggly, just ignore them. Just cut however you want. That's perfectly fine. So just that side. So then I set that aside. Didn't do the head. Certainly I'm not going to do those antennas. So it's just this butterfly. So I set that aside. And then I took my 5 by 6.5 inch card, and I wanted to cover it with a color. Okay, so just pretend like I fixed this. So I have covered this in yellow. However, look at what you can do. So here is my butterfly on blue. And if this looks purple on your screen, it's because it just shifts sometimes. So you can see that. Well, that could work. How about pink? Ooh, that could work. And there's even a darker, kind of almost a reddish. And you could go into a light blue. Isn't that pretty? And this is kind of a light pink, very, very light. And then the yellow. So I really, actually, I first covered a card with this blue because look how that pops. So that's really fun to do. And it was nice with, this is Flit and Flutter. So you've got lots of choices and lots of things that you can do. So I ended up going back to the yellow because I wanted my butterfly to stand out. I didn't want it to be in competition with the solid color on the card. So just, whatever you want to do, it's going to be perfect. So I covered my card first with yellow. You can see it on the edges. And then I glued down my butterfly. Now you want to make sure that you're leaving this part wiggly. So make sure that you're just putting your adhesive on those edges, plop it right in the middle. And then I added that border. And let me show you. So this is the gold pearl fancy border. dyes, dazzles, of course. So you can see, let's get in close. So I used a wider one on the edge here, and then a narrower one on the cardstock. So you should be able to see two different borders. So one here, and it's on the paper, it's going into the design. And then this one is going on the edge of the cardstock and pointing out. The other thing that I noticed, and we'll back up just a tad, is that I had other borders that I wanted to use, and I had a narrow one and a wider one. And I first put the narrow one down here and the wide one up here, and it didn't look right because I think you want to have things heavy. You want them to be weighted toward the bottom. So the thicker one, wider one, went to the bottom, the thinner one at the top. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so did that. Then, and you notice everything is yellow. Everything is just supporting the colors in here. And I wanted to play with this wing. So I used the Sending Smiles dazzle sheet. And this has 4 pieces in it, black, white, gold, and silver. And I looked at all, so it's Sending Smiles all over in many, a couple of different fonts and different, sometimes they're strung together, sometimes they're stacked. So what I wanted was a smaller one, and I wanted it a script. So that's where it was, but notice they're connected. So I cut along this area, and then I cut it in half right there so that I could pull off Sending, and it still looked good, and then Smiles would still look good. So Sending went down here, Smiles went just lift the butterfly wing, and then there's hearts and little flowers all over that, and so I just added a little heart. So that was what happened here, and I'm pleased with it. On the inside, so this is a combination of the vellum and the die cuts. So what I used, this is one of the die cuts, but I wanted it fuller, so I added this piece, and I just tucked it under here, and that's going to look pretty much the same. So you can see it just made it bigger, which is what I wanted. And then I added a die cut little bee, and then this is one of the vellum butterflies. So, and it's the largest one, as you can see. No, it's not the largest one, but it is a big one. And so there you go. And one thing, I'm not sure if you can see both of the antenna, but sometimes with the vellum, okay, I'm not sure you can even see it there, but with the vellum, sometimes I thought that it only had one antenna, so maybe it had gotten broken. But what I realized is that it had folded back. So I was getting ready to cut off the one butterfly antenna that I could see, and then I realized, oh, it's folded, so let me just bring it up. So there you go. And I didn't glue those down. I just, of course, glued the body. And sometimes with vellum, you're wondering, is the glue going to show? Well, obviously with this vellum, it doesn't show. So that's really nice. So this is card number 1. Okay, now we're going to go into card number 2. We'll back up just a tad, thank you. And this is, again, our 5 by 6.5 inch card. You know the creed that I kind of go to, or the rule I kind of follow, is that if there is white in the paper, then I want to leave a white border, which is the card itself, just to mirror that color. So that's what I did. And I loved, actually, let me tell you what I do. I pull out one each of the papers, and I choose my favorites. And then I take all of the die cuts, all of these and all of these, so that's like 160, 173, and I put them on a cookie sheet. And so I stack the ones that are duplicates. That way I can see everything that I have to work with. And as you know, paper is what drives me. So that's why I chose this. And but I wanted to add some things to it. So I trimmed this down to be smaller than my card. The measurements and everything are down below. Just click on the card and you'll see them. And so trimmed it down. I then ink the edges with Velvet Fawn, and I did consider if I wanted to use a pink, but there's enough brown in here that I love Velvet Fawn. It's a great one. That and khaki are just my go-tos. And so I just went around the edge with my blending brush, and just to get a shadow. That's what it does, and I think it does a really good job. Okay, well, you can see the die cuts. Now, these are die cuts, so I've got, this is, of course, having flowers, charm of a garden, very sweet. So I thought, well, we certainly need to get some birds in here. So this is one of the die cuts, and so is the nest, and the nest has the flowers attached to it. The bird is a separate one, and the bee is separate. Now, all of them have white edges, and you can see that in the package. So I used, again, my Velvet Fawn, my blending brush, and I just very, very lightly went around the edges of all 4 of those. Absolutely, just very lightly. And I foam taped, they're all foam taped, so the nest goes down, then the bird goes on top. The little bee is going into the card, and I wanted the birdhouse to face into the card. I like everything facing in, and it just, I think, makes it better. The Get Well is in the collection of We're Together More Colors. So this has got brown, white, gold, and silver. And these sheets have one sheet where they are either stacked or just individually, and then another sheet where they're in script and going sideways. So you get 2 of each of those colors. Obviously, I put the Get Well. Seems to be I'm on a deal to add the hearts, so I did that. Now on the inside, okay, so this is very pink. So I had selected this sheet, and it is this sheet. So how perfect. Trimmed it down the same size, no inking. And because of all the birds, I took another of the bird nest, inked the edge lightly, and attached it with foam tape down here in the corner. And then the word friend is what I put there from the We're Together Dazzles. And this is the brown set, obviously. So that just went together perfectly. I felt really good about having my birds and my flowers, kind of making a statement. Plus, I wanted to make sure that I had multiple colors of cards. So I've got a yellow one, and now I have a pink one. Okay, now I'm going to show you this. And I have been wanting to use this cutting die and to make this statement in it. So this is our Expanding Tower card. This is part of our fabulous folded collection. And you can do lots of neat things with it. But I wanted to just have this giant cluster of things just zooming out from the middle. And the vellum is quite nice to do that. So you can see there and at the bottom the same thing, but the whole thing goes flat, and they fit, or it fits, into our 10 envelopes package. So that's nice. So how do we do this? Well, let me first show you what we're going to use. I used this piece because it has all the flowers, and it allows my yellow butterflies, which are really the statement of this card, to stand out. So that would create a nice background. The nice thing about the 6x6 is, with a lot of dies, but also with this one, is that it is the perfect size to be die cut, just like that. It just works perfectly. So I die cut the back using this sheet and the largest cutting die. And the directions, as always, are right here on the package that holds the dies, so you never misplace them. And you also have some other dies to make that expanding part. So I'm going to set this aside. And you have a tall one, a medium size, and a small one, just like that. And you're going to need 2 of each. And you're also going to need our friend extra sticky tape. And these are, what did I use? I went Okay, I used actually just extra pieces because these two are hidden. So you can make 2 of these and 2 of these and you're never going to see them. And then for the long one, I used, here it is. Remember this sheet that I used on the last card? I used the long piece because I like the idea of that bird up there. And then down here, and I have totally covered it up, I used the back side of this. So I used this for the top because I know that's going to be showing. And then down here, I used the other side. So there's a little sign that says Meadow Path, which I terrifically covered up. And then it has a little songbird. Well, I covered that up too. I didn't mean to, it just happened. But I did have this to be the base piece. So sometimes things change, you know, as you're moving this. And you will, as you trim all of those out, you're going to put the extra sticky tape on the ends. So you can see there is a fold. These are all folds, so they're score lines. You're going to put extra sticky tape on the ends of all of them. And you're also going to cut some pieces of acetate, and I used the heat-resistant acetate. Heidi's been telling me for a long time that she really likes this because it's so sturdy, and I completely agree with her. So you're going to cut 3 of those pieces. Don't put anything on them at this point. And so what you do is to start in the middle of your card. Let me do that into the middle. This was my demo piece. And you're going to take each of the pieces and you're going to put the extra sticky tape on the ends. Then you're going to fold them back. And then you're going to align this so you can see the middle of it. They're score lines. That's going to line up with your card. So super easy. So there's score lines there. This is, you're going to fold these back, lift off the extra sticky tape liner, and position it right there, and it's going to stay. Okay, so you're going to do that top and bottom. Then you're going to take your acetate, put the extra sticky tape on the back side of it, remove that, and put it down. So that's your first one. You're just going to repeat that each time. So for the next one, extra sticky tape, fold it back, peel off the liner, position it over the score lines. And you're going to do that at the bottom, and you're going to do that at the top. Then you're going to take the acetate, extra sticky tape on the back of it, and attach it down. Now, the last one is going to have the acetate attached to the back of it. Okay, these were on the top, so this is on the back. And same thing, extra sticky tape on the corners, and position it there. And position it there. Now, the one thing, you're going to have all of those little plastic liners that you're going to be pulling off, and sometimes they just stick to your fingers. So I would recommend getting a piece of tape, folding the ends back, putting it down here so that as you pull those off, you can just put them on the tape and then you can throw that away. That way they're not bugging you. So this is the tower. It is so easy and kind of foolproof too. Just, you know, take your paper, decide what you want to use, and it will happen. So very, very neat. So this is, so after everything was constructed, then I took out my butterflies, and you can see this is the largest. Then there's this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sizes. And you want to put them in different areas. So, you know, like I've got the smaller ones on the top. I've got this big one over on the left. But then I also have these, you just do them one at a time. I used extra sticky tape to attach every single one. Sometimes in the middle of the body, behind the body, like this. Sometimes I just did it on the wing if I wanted it to be off of the acetate, which is what I really like happening. So you can do this with butterflies, you can do it with flowers, you can do it with anything. And then you get your three-dimensional look. And I liked the idea of these fluttering up, so that was fun. This is one of the die cuts, and it's the only one that I used. I did like seeing the bird up there in the branch. Now, I could have added flowers, I could have added bees, but I really wanted this to be a yellow butterfly statement. Now, what did I do in the back? Let me take the thing off of it and show you. So there's no message on the front of this. Now you could, I just didn't. But on the back, I used the Just For You Dazzles. That's the new set. So that's there. There are little birds in it, so I thought that was perfect. I also like that little swirl. And then this happens to be the back side of the flowers. In fact, you can see it right there. And I just thought that worked really, really well. So that's another thing about double-sided papers, is that they come in handy. So there is my expanding tower card full of butterflies. Okay, I hope you like it. It was fun to do. And actually it was kind of, I knew I wanted to do this. And when I saw the butterflies, that was perfect. I really kind of had to stop myself to do the other cards before I got this one finished. Okay, I've got one more. And this one had kind of an interesting transition. So you've seen this before because it's on the back right there. But that was such a nice statement. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun if this were just the front of the card and it opened, and then I put some flowers behind it on the inside of the card? Does that make sense? Okay, so I took this, I measured it to be 5 inches, and I cut it. And then I went in with my little precision scissors, you know, these, and just cut just right along it. And I did cut his little feet off, sorry. Just cut that off. And then when I went into the areas that were kind of really fussy cutting, I just ignored it and just went kind of around the edge. So you can see it, hopefully you can see it. I'm putting my thumb there because this is cut out. Okay, so I had this piece and I thought, great. Then I glued that to the front of a card and I trimmed right along about with what I had done. But the problem was the hinge was right here. It was just that tiny part. And I just felt that it was too weak. So changed the game plan. I cut that part and I decided that I did want to put the flowers behind it. But when I chose this card, I didn't have, it covered up the flowers. So what do? You turn the paper over and glue that to my card front and then foam tape this very large piece on top of it. Okay, isn't that clever? Now, my card is 5 by 6.5, but my paper is 6 by 6, so I just cut off 1/2 inch, no big deal. So that's what I did. I did take one of the die cuts, the little bird, facing the same way that it faces on the art, and I did put the velvet fawn again, just along the edges, and foam tape that in place. The hello comes from the brown script dazzles. There are 3 sheets in there. And so you've got lots of options. I could have done happy birthday, just for you. I could have done lots of things. And I chose the hello. Now, on the inside of my card, isn't that a pretty sheet? Now, you can do that with ink pads and blending and so forth. Or you can get this sheet and turn it over and use this. And that's exactly what I did. I just used this sheet. I thought it was perfect. And it fits because the card is now 5 by 6. And I took the bird houses, these are from the die cuts, and I wanted one to be facing me, one to be looking in from the left, one to be looking in from the right. And so I glued them down there. I did nothing to the paper. All I did was select my birdhouses, and you can see, this is the same birdhouse that I used there, but this one has been inked brown on the edges. And I think I used another one, but I don't see it, so we'll just ignore that. Yes, I did. I used this one right here, silly me. And you can see it right there. But there was one other birdhouse that I didn't use. So, I mean, there's just lots. Now, the Just Because, again, is part of that brown script. And this butterfly is blue. It is vellum. And I thought it worked really well with the pinks and the blues in here. So I did go off of my yellow butterfly trend and did add this one and just glued it down right there, extra sticky tape, no problem. The Just Because, I just thought it was nice at going down in there. So that is my fourth card. Super easy. You've got lots of options with this set, which is very nice. So Among the Wildflowers by Prima. And so you have the vellum. And like I said, there are 76. I used 13. Well, of course, I used 11 right here. And so again, I made 4 cards. And so I've got 63 left. How neat is that? Now this has 96, wow, 96 die cuts. And actually you can see them on the back, so we'll be sure to have that on the website. And remember, I used that flowers on that very first card. Okay, that was one. And these, when I think of die cuts, I think of kind of shapes that are a little more solid, but I think these are pretty much laser cut. Anyway, 96, I used 13, there's 83 left. So wow, there's a lot that you can still do, and that's very fun. There is a money saver, of course, on the right-hand side of our screen. As I've said, all of the directions are down below. Just click on the card, you'll see the directions. You can print them out if you like. Whatever you want to do will work for me. If you happen to be watching us on YouTube, I know I say this every time, but you know, it's kind of like the money saver. I want to make sure I say it. We would love it if you would like us. That helps our ratings. And then please head on over to paperwishes.com. That's where you can get this money saver. Might as well help your pocketbook a bit. And you can see the directions. So that's nice too. Okay, well, thank you for joining me. As you can tell, I have so much fun doing this, and I appreciate sharing it with you. So, as you know, I think you're the very best part of paperwishes.com, and you prove it every single day. Okay, I'll see you again later. Bye-bye.